husband saw something on an original ABC primetime investigative report. And at the time, we were working with the Mayo Clinic to try to put together a wellness program for them. And my husband had been approached by many things because we were in the wellness space. And he said to one of our docs, you know, how do you know this is the real deal? How do you know this is for real? And this doctor said, well, if you go to, let's look right here. Let's go to pubmed.gov. And if you type in the product and something comes up, you're on to something. And sure enough, a couple studies dropped down. And what that became was a major driver of the business, of this business model. It takes other components to have a successful business, but it became a major driver of our business, our conviction, our belief, and knowing there was not anything else on the planet like it. And that's what drove my husband and myself, and why now there are thousands around the globe being educated on this profound science and this profound opportunity. And next on deck, to explain more about how profound our products are, is a gentleman I was honored to meet really about probably a couple months ago. I'd heard his name over and over, and I'd seen him on webinars, and I got a chance to go up to Savannah, and we had an amazing meal with him and his beautiful wife, Peggy. We had fellowship and just found out we literally work with the most amazing people on the planet. It's Dr. Neil Goodman. He's chief of pediatrics at the Southeast Georgia Health System Brunswick campus. He belongs to the Institute of Functional Medicine. He's chief of pediatrics at the Medical College of Georgia. Did I get that right, Dr. Neil?
I wish I was. I wish that was true. I am an associate clinical professor of pediatrics at the Medical College of Georgia.
Wonderful. But one of the top docs in the industry, and we are truly blessed to have him on our team. I apologize for the edification mess up on those words there, but just truly blessed to have you on our team, and you add so much value and insight and inspiration on what we have in our hands. So can you tell everyone a little bit more about what you do? Could you go ahead and do a little recap on that and your positions, and also the magnitude of a major driver of our opportunity?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jill. I appreciate this opportunity to address the audience. By the way, I'm a part of that Georgia contingent, and I'm very proud to be part of that organization. We're doing very well, and really part of it is because we've got such a motivated team that wants to help people. And I think that's the driving force, is trying to, as your other guests have mentioned, it's about the science, and it's about letting people know how real this really is, and that this is not just a quick fly-by-night scheme, that there's real science behind the products. And in my daily work, which is to work with children from ages 0 to 21, I've been doing this for 33 plus years. I got to say, I initially came in quite as a skeptic, that I was not going to just certainly didn't have the interest or a plan on being a network marketer per se. My focus has been to educate people and to also make the product available for people. And then I have to say, they've just come to me to ask for it. And so with that, I delved into the science, looked into the background of what we had. And with that, Jill, I guess I'd like to go into a really, while it's in depth, my job as an educator is to try to make things simple and understandable. And so I'm going to try to take apart the science for everybody, let them know what we have, let them see that what the background of why this works. And then I think that everyone will just be absolutely taken that this is just an amazing contribution to what's going to be the future of medicine. So Jill, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to switch to my slide screen at this point and switch to my presentation. And I think hopefully that this will work. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. And hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Give me a hands up if you do. And you're seeing the screen, I appreciate it. All right, well, listen, so this is just my start of the slide presentation. I have to reiterate what Jill said, and that, first of all, this could possibly be the most important health presentation of your life. I'm going to really try to be dramatic about this because I have so much to claim, and just as you heard Taylor say, he's so excited about it. I am just absolutely excited about this. And I've never been as excited about something as I have been in the last 2 years that I've been associated with LifeVantage Company. Now, while I say that, I cannot make claims that these products treat, cure, or mitigate disease. But I'm going to let you connect the dots in what you see next. And I want to say that we're going to talk about 4 different facets of human health and wellness. And they involve 4 basic pillars of health: oxidative stress, the concept of mitochondrial function, the concept of the second brain, and lastly, about the blood-brain barrier. These are the things that we're going to talk about. I'm going to break these down for you. And this is what we call the core 4. And these are present in one of the products that the LifeVantage Company has recently put out, which is called the Vitality Stack. And we're going to say why each of those works. So let's talk about oxidative stress first. I think there's a lot of confusion as to what oxidative stress is. So oxidative stress, well, think about it. Obviously, it involves oxygen. And oxygen, while it's good for you, and you needed it when you were first born, you took it in your first breath of life, but really, actually, what you were breathing was only 21% oxygen. So it's mostly nitrogen, to be honest. More is toxic. And in my field of pediatrics, if you give a premature baby, too much oxygen, they actually go blind. We know it's a toxin. So the important concept I want to make here is that while we need oxygen to live, it's also the very thing that is slowly killing us. It's going to take us out in this life. Ultimately, this is what oxidative stress does to us. And a prime example would be like, if you, for example, you look at what oxygen does to metal, it oxidizes it. That's seen in the form of rust. Well, it does it to your air conditioner coils. Those are made of aluminum. It corrodes those. But your cells are rusting too. They just rust in a different way. We see it initially as wrinkles on your skin as you get older. This is due to cell damage, which is cumulative. It also leads to inflammation of your joints, inflammation of your brain, inflammation of your heart and blood vessels. Ultimately, this leads to aging, disease, and finally cell death. And this is not what we want. We want to live. So the common denominator here is something that we call free radicals. If you think about this apple, for example, that's exposed to oxygen, after it's been on the counter for a couple of minutes, it looks like this. It's brown. Well, the same thing is happening to our flesh. And the reason for this are these free radicals. So what are free radicals? Free radicals are actually activated oxygen particles that are put off by the body and are accelerated by different things that we encounter in everyday life. And so oxygen is the common denominator in this. And they cause things such as DNA damage, which ultimately will lead to mutations in your genetic code, and finally cancer when your cells are abnormally transcribed. It's affected by smoking, air pollution, inflammation, UV light, radiation, all of the things that we encounter in our lives. And again, the common denominator here is oxygen. So let's just refer to free radical damage as the bad guys. Try to make it as simple as possible. Well, so how do we deal with this? Well, you know, when we're born, we have in this little red triangle, which I'll show you in a second, we are given God-given antioxidants. They are our primary internal antioxidants. They allow us to daily defend ourselves from this free radical damage that we're producing by the millions, day in and day out. But up to this point, we haven't known this and we haven't known what to do about it. So what we've done is what we do on the bottom of this triangle, which is supplement in our diet. And we supplement them with things like, you know, you eat carrots and you eat kale and you take vitamin A and vitamin C, lots of different things that you do to try to help yourself. But really, they are so few in number that they really are fairly insignificant. In truth, the big guys are these three up at the top of this triangle. SOD, which stands for superoxide dismutase. I got to go back here a second. Superoxide dismutase, glutathione, and catalase. These are the three main antioxidants that our body uses to defend ourselves. And we have this in great supply when we're born, but it gets used up as we age. So again, those are the good guys. And I like to put a Superman symbol by it because, you know, we want Superman to be by our side, and really protandem or NRF2 activation is our Superman. This is going to save the day. When the amount of free radicals in our bodies exceeds our capacity to neutralize them, that's when we suffer by oxidative stress. And that usually happens around age 20 or so. We have an imbalance at that point. We're no longer able to defend ourselves, and that's when our bodies begin to age. Some of us do age earlier than that. So oxidative stress has been implicated in over 200 diseases, maybe as many as 500. And if you go to pubmed.gov, as Jill suggested, you can look up oxidative stress and look up any one of a number of diseases, and you'll get multiple hits on this. And you'll see that oxidative stress is involved in everything. Everything essentially from Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease at the bottom of this diagram, autism, migraine headaches, OCD behavior and depression. If you look at the symbol above, talking about the heart, leads to hypertension and blood vessel damage. With regard to your joints, on the right, it talks about osteoarthritis and psoriatic arthritis. Lung is involved with asthma and allergies and so forth, and cancer. So inflammation and oxidative stress is at the heart of all these diseases. But really, in my training, what I've been trained to do for 33 plus years is to treat all these organ systems with medicine. That's what the medical degree is for. And maybe we've gotten it wrong. I've done this very well and successfully, but maybe we should be focusing on the center part of this, which is the inflammatory cycle and oxidative stress, which is causing inflammation. If we can shrink that central section there, that star-shaped thing that's red, if we can make that smaller, perhaps we can positively impact all the other organ systems. And so we do this by bringing in Superman. And Superman actually helps us to increase our cellular production of our internal antioxidants. And these are the three things that I mentioned before. SOD, superoxide dismutase, which was discovered in 1969, catalase, and glutathione. Some people even get glutathione injections to make them better. But the problem is it's inconvenient, it's very expensive, and you're tied to a physician to put an IV in your arm every week. You don't have to do that. You can make this yourself. So if you think about your chromosomes, you have 23 pairs of chromosomes, and all these little horizontal lines across the chromosomes, those are your genes. And those genes code for specific proteins and enzymes that allow you to do all of your daily functions. They code for the color of your eyes. They code for how you are perceived in the world, how your skin ages. Well, they also code for the NRF2 protein and the NRF1 protein. And those have been identified by the people who have mapped all these genes as master regulators of cell protection. I mean, this is incredible that this has been identified. If you look at this small diagram here and you look at the top right corner, you'll see a little protandem molecule. Watch that molecule as it attaches to the side of the cell. It activates some chemicals there called kinases, and that kinase actually allows the NRF2 molecule, which is the little small red bead that you see there, resting in the center of the cell. It allows it to migrate to the nucleus. And in the nucleus of the cell, it turns on all of those antioxidant enzymes, the glutathione, the superoxide dismutase, and many other inflammatory proteins and survival genes. All right, I want to say that again, survival genes. Not only are there the three things that we talked about, but there are over 400 survival genes that are turned on by this, essentially a door knock on the cell to wake it up and tell it to turn on this pathway. This is what we call NRF2 activation. When you activate that NRF2 protein, you increase your superoxide dismutase by 34%. You're able to increase your catalase by 54%. And you're able to increase that glutathione by 300% in over 120 days. essentially reducing your internal oxidative stress from free radical damage by 40% in 30 days. Guys, this is published. This is peer-reviewed. This has been studied by NIH. There are over 26 articles about this, okay? This is not new. There are thousands of NRF2 activators in the world. You eat them. These are things that you have in your diet: kale and broccoli and pomegranate juice, wine, resveratrol in wine. These are all NRF2 activators. But what we're talking about here is a combination of specific synergistic substances that are GMO and organic that have been able to be put together into a complex and brought to you to allow you to do this and help yourself. So in looking at this, your genes are not your destiny. You have 23 pair of chromosomes, but only 20% of your DNA is ever expressed. 80% of your DNA is actually dormant. But you have the way to change the way that your genes are expressed. And when you do this, this is what we call biohacking. So everyone who's using Protandim is a biohacker. This is a good thing. This is not a scary thing. This is what's scary, is you could let your body be hijacked. That's the alternative. So if you know this, you'll want to be biohacked. You don't want to be hijacked. We're hijacked every single day, 24/7. Physically, through daily injury, through exposure to cancer-provoking substances, emotionally through our daily stressors of hard work and daily life, and then also biochemically through toxins, radiation, allergens, pollutants, drugs and alcohol, even poor food choices that we choose to take into our body. When you biohack, however, you are optimizing your genetic potential. You're becoming the best version of yourself because you're turning on your own survival genes. And you're doing this with the science of nutrigenomics. This is simply using food and food compounds to interact with structures in your body and your cells and your genes to make you a better person, to heal yourself. This is absolutely amazing that we even have this available to us. And I want to make the point of a difference between supplementation versus activation. These are not supplements. These are activators. When you supplement, you're guessing. There's lack of product-specific research. You can take any vitamin you want. You do not know what it does to your genes. You just have been told that it's healthy. You don't know how much to take. You don't know why it works. There's lack of quality control. Do you really know what the end result of gene expression or overall cellular health is when you supplement? You don't. But when you are activating, you understand the science. I'm bringing that to you today. You're looking at today's breakthroughs. These are peer-reviewed and published studies, as I mentioned. They're backed in science. They've been studied by third-party, independent-funded organizations such as the Ohio State University, the Louisiana State University, and the University of Colorado Health Sciences. This has been researched by organizations not even associated with LifeVantage. And what they're looking at is the end result on your genes and your cellular health. And they're using, as I said before, the concept of synergy. Okay, so here's your synergy. Protandim NRF2. What is it? Okay, it's a combination of herbal products that are non-GMO and organic. And they include ashwagandha root, bacopa extract, green tea extract, milk thistle, and turmeric. Now listen, these things have been available for years. The ancients have used them in health, but they didn't understand why they worked. We do now. It's NRF2 activation. If you use any one of these individually, you can see by this bar graph on the left-hand side that they all have minimal effect. They do work, but in minimal effect individually. But when you put them together in a specific formulation, you get this 1,800-fold improvement in the synergy of them working together to increase NRF2 activation in your body. Okay, no other product has ever been able to do this. Now, Protandim NRF2, as I said, will lower your oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days. That's everyone who has ever taken it. They did studies, and for the statistical geeks that are out there, the p-value was 0.001. That means 99.99% of people responded favorably to this and actually reduced their oxidative stress. It does that through NRF2 activation. It induces other enzymes also capable of neutralizing more than 1,000 free radicals. Normally, if you eat broccoli or kale, you're only reducing 1-to-1 ratio. You take one antioxidant and it gets rid of one free radical. You're getting rid of 1,000 free radicals with one Protandim pill, and that will last the entire enzyme cycle until the next day that you take it. And as I said before, it regulates over 400 survival genes. Essentially, this is like tuning a piano. I'm going to get to that analogy in a minute, but this is I think, a very good way to think about it. And it helps the body to repair and rejuvenate its own cells. This is also the only natural supplement that has ever been proven to extend life in mammals by 7%. This was documented by the National Institute of Aging, which is a division of the National Institute of Health in the United States. All right, so let's look at this graph. This is real detailed. It basically says that you have to drink a lot of wine, eat a lot of oranges, and eat 11 pounds of blueberries to equal the strength of one Protandim at 1 million per 1 in terms of ratio. And as I said, it reduces oxidative stress. So let's look at this graph. This is what your oxidative stress does with age. As you age from 20 to 80, without Protandim, it's a straight line up. When people take Protandim, this is the result you get. And this can be measured. And it has been measured. And this is for what the patent was filed many years ago. Your oxidative stress becomes that or equivalent to that of a person who is age 20 in everyone who takes it. This is truth. This is not made up, guys. This is in the literature. Here's some other NRF2 activators. I just want to share you an example. Broccoli, kale, which contains sulforaphane, which is a NRF2 activator, gets us this much NRF2 activation. Let's look at this one. On the left-hand side, Tecfidera, dimethyl fumarate. This is a new drug that just came out in the United States. This is a big pharma drug, just recently released a few months ago. Costs $50,000 a year to use this. Look at the level it attains in NRF2 activation. Let's look at another one, bardoxolone. This was one that was done some years ago. Again, about halfway up the graph. And I want you to compare it to this now in the upper left-hand corner. This is your product. This is a LifeVantage product, the only one that exists that does this, induces NRF2 activation. Look at the levels that have been attained. And guys, this is $41 a month for US dollars. It's not $50,000. The Tecfidera has been compared to it, and they still can't beat this product, which is an organic, natural product. So I mentioned about tuning a piano. What does it mean to tune a piano? Well, you know, it means to bring it into harmony, to adjust something for precise functioning, to make it intense or effective. So if these are the keys on your piano, and every key has a purpose, and each of those keys equals one of your genes, and they each have an assigned frequency. Let's zoom in on this now for a second. Let's look at this keyboard. Here's the middle C octave. This is what the frequency response looks like of those keys, nice and smooth. If Grandma bought this piano in 1969, that piano is in perfect tune. It sounds wonderful to hear those notes. But what happens when you put that piano in the attic? After 50 years, things have changed. The keys start to stick, the sound doesn't come out harmonious, and you have this. Well, this is your out-of-tune piano, and this is what happens to our body. So this is the analogy. This green graph that you see here is a map of the 400 survival genes that Protandim affects. Remember now, only 3 of those are SOD, catalase, and glutathione peroxidase. Only 3 of them. We have 397 other genes that Protandim affects. And these have been tuned in the presence of Protandim. This is what it looks like. All right, now let's zoom in on just 63 of them. I'm going to get closer. These are the gene expression frequencies, meaning how often a gene is transcribed by the body in the presence of Protandim. Look how beautiful this is. They're all in order, nice and green, level playing field. This is what it looks like without Protandim. Before, with Protandim. This is so you give someone Protandim, it does this. Without it, it does this. It's out of order. It's non-harmonious. And if you look at this one is low. Look at this one. This one is high. The ones that are high are damaging to your body. These are your survival genes. The ones that are low, like glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and catalase, they need to be brought up. And when you do that, you bring them up to the levels of where they needed to be, and everything is evened out. The high ones are brought low, and the low ones are brought high. This is how Protandim works. It turns on the survival genes. Another example of a gene that's expressed that was too high is this one, PFAB4 and 5, which stands for plasma fatty acid binding proteins 4 and 5. I know this is detailed, and I'm not expecting anyone to remember this. I just want you to understand what it's doing. If you understand this and understand that the science behind this is real and proven, you'll understand what you have at your feet. If you look at this, this is the effect of Protandim on FABP4, an 85% reduction. Well, folks, FABP4 is responsible for metabolic syndrome, calcifications of your blood vessels, and atherosclerosis, and it's brought down by 85%. This isn't even superoxide dismutase that we were talking about. It's just one of 400 other survival genes. So again, staying in tune with Protandim, we're going to bring these genes back into harmony. So in the future, Grandma is going to say about her piano that she had her genome tuned by Protandim. So potentially, Washington State University said that this was potentially the most therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine that they've ever seen. This is published in 2015, a prestigious university. They are not the only ones. All right, this is just absolutely stunning information. For you to hear this and see this, it's just absolutely breathtaking. And that's why I'm so passionate about it and so privileged to be able to bring this to you, because everything that Taylor and Fred said to you about being passionate about the company and what they brought to the public to make people feel better and improve, there's no reason anyone in the world would not want to take this to improve their health. If you're breathing oxygen, you need this. I want to talk about NRF1 for a minute, mitochondrial function. It's another part of the core 4 in the vitality stack. I'm going to go a bit quicker at this point. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It's where everything that generates energy takes place in your body. These are all the chemical reactions that take place in the mitochondria. They're too far to mention specifically, to just know that it does everything. You need mitochondria for your cells to live. But mitochondria also produce free radicals in the process of using energy and using food and oxygen. That's your mitochondria right there. Free radicals, remember, act like little hurricanes inside your cells. If you could picture your cell like imagine it was like a grape. And that grape you filled with thumbtacks and you shook it up, what would happen to the cell? The thumbtacks would pierce everything inside that cellular material. It would destroy the nucleus and the DNA that's in it, and it would also destroy the mitochondria. And in doing so, would reduce metabolism and energy production by the cell. So here is an example of a cell, and these are your mitochondria. Here's 3. Most cells have anywhere from 200 to 400 of these. This is what keeps the cell going. When you get rid of these, the cell dies. This cell is history, folks. It goes away. And this is how we age, and this is how we die. Essentially, that cell was being destroyed from the inside out by that hurricane, which is, as I said, due to free radical damage. So Protandim NRF1 synergy, what does it do? Well, it turns on the activation of the NRF1 protein. That increases the number of mitochondria in the cell. It protects the mitochondria from further damage. It supports your cell's rejuvenation and survival. As I mentioned, it was a survival gene. It supports ATP energy formation, which, because your brain uses a lot of mitochondria and so does your heart, both of those organs and your red cells also improve. So you have improved brain function, heart function, and blood function. Essentially improves your cellular metabolism, and your body becomes more efficient at burning fuel. So again, in simplistic form, if you have decreased mitochondria, you have decreased metabolism. When you have decreased metabolism, you have decreased energy, and you have consequently weight gain. That's why people gain weight as they get older. Their bodies become less efficient at burning fuel. When you have decreased energy, you heal less well. And when you heal less well, your thinking, your emotional being, and your concentration, i.e. brain fog, come to the surface, and we start to begin to become forgetful. So essentially, Protandim NRF2 and NRF1 are two components of the vitality stack, the 1-2 punch, as we like to say, key in reducing oxidative stress and improving metabolic function. And remember too, I just want to point out, for those who love animals, as I do, that NRF2 is available for your animals as well, including horses, your dogs, and your cats. It's available and improves them, and you'll hear many stories about it. I want to jump now to the last two components of the vitality stack. These are equally important and very exciting. I know I'm flying very quickly, Jill. There's a lot here to present, and I don't want to overwhelm the audience. But again, I am so excited to present this to you, and I'm going to make some really emphatic statements as we talk about the second brain. People are saying, what the heck is the second brain? We don't have a second brain. We only have one brain. The fact is that we actually have two brains, and I'm going to explain that. Your second brain is your gut. You had no idea. There are bacteria that live in your gut. They're good and bad bacteria. They live in balance with one another. Well, you know what? That's called your microbiome. Your microbiome, those bacteria that live in there, actually, there's actually more bacteria in bacterial DNA in your body, in your gut, than there are of your own natural human cells. If you put it in a beaker, the amount of bacteria far outweigh your DNA. That's how important it is. Well, those bacteria talk to each other. They have neurotransmitters just like you do. They secrete serotonin. They secrete norepinephrine. They secrete dopamine. These are the same neurotransmitters that your brain uses to talk to your body. Well, what is the gut for? The gut's to absorb things, isn't it? So imagine if your gut is ill because of all the things you put in it and what you've challenged your body with. Well, you are going to absorb those aberrant neurotransmitters that those bacteria put out, and as a consequence, you're going to absorb them, and they're going to send signals to your brain and your body, and it's going to have an effect on how you feel and your feeling of well-being. So essentially, inflammation in your gut and a leaky gut can affect your emotions, causes depression, anxiety, memory loss, and it has been implicated in autism and Down syndrome. Also remember that the gut is home to 70% of our immune system. That's right, 70% of our immune system is our intestine. And they also put Wellimmune in this product, which is ProBio, to aid your ability to respond quickly to disease threats. So, Physic ProBio contains 6 billion colony-forming units and 6 helpful strains of bacteria. But remember, it's not the number that they put in the capsule. You can find other products that have many, many more bacteria, but where do they go? They're all destroyed in the stomach. As soon as they hit that stomach acid, they're destroyed by stomach acid and never, ever make it to the gut. But this ProBio is treated with BioTract. It has a special delivery system that delivers 60% of that bacterial payload to your gut versus only 4 to 5% of other products. That makes it 15% more bioavailable to your body. That means then that as that capsule opens up and bypasses your stomach and hits your intestine, that it actually deposits the bacteria in the proximal intestine where those bacteria are needed, and the specific strains that need to go to the end of your intestine where they're needed. There is absolutely no other probiotic that can do this. Every other probiotic is destroyed. So forget Activia and all the yogurt products. It's a joke. This is the only thing that has ever been shown to do this, and this is why LifeVantage captured it as part of their vitality stack and made it available to you. All right, that is the concept of the second brain, or the gut-brain biome. Let's talk lastly about the blood-brain barrier and omega plus vitamins, why we need them. I don't know if you realized it, but the majority of your brain is actually made up of fat. About 70% of it is made up of fat, and most of those fats are omega-3s. That's what your brain was made of. We need omega-3 for healthy brain membranes. We also need omega-3s in our muscles and joints. Healthy omega-3 levels help our heart and lower our cholesterol, and they improve our cellular communication pathways for all those nerves that are in our body and how they communicate with our muscles. And get this, They're also anti-cancer and anti-diabetes. Why would we not want to have omega-3 in our diet? But to be honest with you, our diets are so deficient in this. Most of us don't like fish, or maybe if we do, we don't like the taste of it. We get a lot of omega-6s in our diet, which are from vegetable oils and other things. Those actually compete with your omega-3s for your health, and they're pro-inflammatory. So what LifeVantage also did is they put in omega-7s, which also are anti-inflammatory and anti-diabetic. And for the last kicker, they put in the mother of all vitamins, which is D3. We need this for survival. It's needed for your bones. It's needed for your muscles. It's needed for your basic immunity. If you are low in vitamin D, you have a hard time fighting off infections and have low resistance. Not only that, but it protects your prostate and breast in men and women. So these contain the 3 fatty acids, DHA and EPA, in a 3-to-1 ratio. That's the same ratio as what's found in mother's breast milk, which is what was made to form our brains. It's the purest quality. It's 100% traceable from the boats that they captured it from. It doesn't sit on the dock for weeks. It's not rancid. And anyone who's taken this can tell you it absolutely has no fish smell. You do not get indigestion. You don't get fish burps that you can't go near anybody for days after taking it because you feel so bad. And again, they have the omega-7 fatty acids and 800 units of vitamin D3. So as this little girl, who is Dr. Charlisa Hudson's daughter, says, she does not have fish burps, and she can actually bite into this without having indigestion. Her mom has been hiding this omega-3 before in her chocolate, but now she's able to take it and actually bite into these guys.
Wow.
So these are amazing things, Jill, to talk about, to be able to bring these products. I'm gonna unshare my screen here for a moment. See if we can go here for a second. There we go. Again, I really appreciate you allowing me to tell people about the science here, because I am passionate about this, and being able to educate people and be able to tell them about how unbelievable this product that LifeVantage has brought. This company cares about getting the best thing out there. These are, as I said, non-GMO, ultra pure, of the highest manufacturing quality, and yet we have the privilege to bring this to people that we care about.